All right, this leads our bulletin tonight. The Johannesburg High Court has ordered the EFF to apologise to SABC journalist Thandeka Gqubule-Mbeki and Weekly Mail founder and journalism professor Anton Harber. Now, the EFF has to apologise within 24 hours and pay the two 40,000 rand in damages each for making defamatory statements about the pair being apartheid-era Stratcom spies. Now, the party also has to foot the journalists' legal bills. The debacle began after the late Winnie Madikizela-Mandela featured in a documentary and accused Gqubule-Mbeki and Harber of doing the work of Stratcom. The EFF then threatened to expose them. One of the applicants, Thandeka Gqubule-Mbeki, joins me now in studio. Very good evening to you, Thandeka. Indeed, thanks for your time. Well, you must feel vindicated today.
I'm overjoyed. I feel justice has been done, and I couldn't be happier.
Well, initially you had asked for R1 million each in damages. You got 40,000 rand each. I mean, is that enough for the damage that has been done to your reputation?
Well, we didn't measure it in terms of money.
Yeah.
We feel that in any case we had sent the EFF a letter of demand before we even made any monetary claims against them. We said to them in the letter of demand, apologise, state that these statements are false, and also retract them and clean up your online presence so that they don't reflect any false, defamatory and unlawful statements. Now, the court has been on our side, and we have been thoroughly vindicated in that they have been told that those statements are false, untrue, defamatory and thoroughly unlawful. Now, we also wanted to put pressure on people who do these kind of things, people with totalitarian mindsets who want to shut down journalists. We wanted to give them pause, and we needed to give them pause to reflect by hitting them in the pocket. And frankly, the only disappointment I have, I know Anton has none, is that I can't donate enough money to Anton's fund for the education of journalists. I can't donate enough money for the preservation of a fund to help journalists who are in prison. There's a journalist in West Africa who is currently serving an 18-month prison term without trial for just tweeting. He tweeted three things that appeared in a workshop that he was covering. There are many totalitarian governments that suppress and oppress journalists, and we had hoped that with the money we get, we would be able to come to the aid of our brethren in other jurisdictions and at home. So that's the only disappointment
in this matter. The EFF legal team has written back to you. Have they given an undertaking to apologise within the said time frame?
They said they will abide by the court order. They will apologise, they will retract their statements, they will issue an apology without reservation, and they will not seek leave to appeal. That would have been ridiculous, and it would really make them vexatious litigants. And they seem to be very keen for this embarrassing matter for them to just swiftly go away.
Yeah, I want to talk about the greater damage that has been done here. Let's talk about the reputational damage that you suffered. These are journalists who have been quite, in the forefront of exposing the atrocities of the apartheid government back then, to be accused of something like this. And it brings me to the whole issue of disinformation and the defamatory comments that sometimes we often see being made against journalists in spaces like Twitter. Talk to us a bit about that and the damage that this does, in particular in this case, that it did to your reputation and your colleagues.
Thank you very much. I mean, it was exceedingly hurtful and insulting. Anton Harber founded the Weekly Mail. It was a newspaper that was dedicatedly anti-apartheid. It dredged up all the sordid details of the Stratcom campaigns. Secondly, this newspaper fought censorship and for the rights of journalists throughout the country and beyond. Thirdly, Anton, in his personal capacity as our editor, took a lot of harassment from the state and from state agents. And interestingly, in their papers, they were planning to call Craig Williamson and his cohorts the very people who were responsible for the deaths of activists. I mean, Craig Williamson is responsible for the death of Joe Slovo's wife, Ruth First. And this is not conjecture. This is stuff that was led before the Truth Commission. So we were baffled by this contradictory legal strategy. You speak left and you act right. And your associations, we can ill afford. You know, I mean, Craig Williamson, they were saying that they wanted the matter to go to trial and they were going to call Craig Williamson. And yet, here's an apartheid spy who's self-confessed, and yet he seems to be on their side. This was very baffling. The other thing that was a real insult to me in particular, I have worked tirelessly for the liberation of this country since a very young age. And it implied that all those people that I had worked with in the student movement, in the young youth movements, in the Christian youth movements, as well as in as a courier in the underground, those people had been betrayed by me. It is an insult that I would never be able to take. And so I wished to expunge the stink and the stench that they sought to create. But, you know, it is an attempt, it's the politics of destruction. And those politics are essentially doomed in a democracy. If South Africa is a true democracy, where we want to see freedom of expression flourish, where we want to see individual freedoms thrive, and we want to see people educated, and we want to see people operating and making political and economic choices based on real, solid facts and information, then it was our duty as journalists to fight them with all we had.
Indeed, thank you very much for joining us tonight. SABC journalist Thandeka Gqubule-Mbeki vindicated today, winning the case she and Anton Harber brought against the EFF for making defamatory remarks against them.